yet another session, Friday's Water Talkies, in which we talk about a film that was based on water topic in any real scenario. And today we have Paban Kumar from Manipur, and he's an acclaimed filmmaker who's made films on very real topics. And he has PG diploma in direction and screenplay writing from Kolkata. And he came to limelight with the film AFSPA 1958, winning several accolades during the Swarn Kamal for Best Documentary at the National Film Awards. And he has many other notable films, for which he's gotten awards as well as appreciation. And his films have gone to the film festivals also. So today we'll be discussing his film, which is Phum-Shang. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And it means floating life.
Yeah, so thank you, Anuja. So let me talk to you briefly about what the film is about. It's pronounced as Phum-Shang. Shang means a hut. Phum is the floating biomass on the Loktak Lake. So most of the lakes here, we find this floating biomass, which is debris, soil debris mixed with vegetation, life or death, both. So this Shang means all those huts on top of this, this one, the Phums. So way back in 2011, the Manipur government burned down 100 of these huts in the Loktak Lake, and in the pretext of cleaning the lake. So the director says, the filmmaker says. So, but thousands of fishermen were displaced. They become homeless, and their livelihood were snatched. So when we talk about water, we during our sessions, we always talk about the issue of like lack of water or water conservation or any other thing. But right now, the film focus on these communities which livelihood depends on this Loktak Lake, this big wetland. So the film basically talk about losing battle between the authorities and this Phum dwellers. So their 100% of their livelihood depends on the lake, but when they lost their habitat due to this cleaning of the lake, and there was a mighty fight between the authorities, Manipur government, and this Phum dwellers. So the film won the award for the 18th International Environmental Film and Video Festival in Brazil in 2016. It also won the Golden Conch of the Best Documentary in 14 Mumbai International Film Festival. It won the Best Documentary for the Royal Bengal Tiger, the 21st Kolkata International Film Festival, and many other. But Paban Kumar's this Phum-Shang again was this one screened in the Festival of Kerala in 2015. Again, it got the best long documentary also. So again, I'll just show you how the film goes, and we can do the discussion based on this. I'll share the screen now.
We don't hear the audio, Sunita.
Can't hear the audio. So Pawan, I will direct the first question to you. So you start the film with a very strong image of a burning down. So what are you trying to depict in the first part of this film? We could feel that habitation loss, not for the, when you burn down, like you see Anuja here, she's totally against burning of things, but because what Pavan was trying to show is burning down of the habitat of those home dwellers, the people. We also see the burning down of some certain biomass or bioorganisms. So Pavan, can you please share your thought on?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anuja. Thank you, Sunita, and everyone in the foundation for this session. Yeah, it's a long story. So, I'll start from the beginning. I mean, I'll tell you a basic about this film. Uh, Actually, I went to the lake to do the recce of my feature film. I've been doing documentaries for the last 15 years. I mostly do documentaries, which really affects me as a person. So this was, but this time it was more about making the Loktak, the lake, is one of the locales for my feature film, which later became Lady of the Lake, that which is my feature after this film. So I went to the lake to do the recce of my feature film, and then this subject expert of mine, he took to my location, uh, which was a village on the lake, and it was not there. You know, so the village was not there. So suddenly I felt that this can be a good story for a documentary. Why not do an investigative film on this? Yeah, because I was also trying to do the feature the way I have been doing documentaries for a long time. I have a very realistic approach to cinema. So I wanted the real people to act in my film. So I thought, why not? Because we know about Loktak. It's part of our, for Meiteis, Loktak is our roots. So our folk song, everything starts from Loktak. So, and also for my first feature film, I wanted it to be the backdrop of my story. So I thought it's a good idea to understand the place, understand the people, because documentary makes you do that. Makes you closer to your subject, and it can be a proper research for my film. So that's how it all started. And so this whole idea of starting with this image came very much later on the editing table, because then I realized that when I started shooting, following them, it took me almost 3 years to complete this film. It was their never ending struggle, like uh, uh, they burned down the hut. Luckily, I got some of the footages from one of my friend who this was shot by one of my friend. Actually, this is like I got the footages from them. So it was their never dying, never this thing struggle, never ending struggle that I wanted to portray. So started with that, and again, they start building the, if you look at the film further, it's like it started with the burning. Again, they start building, fighting with the authorities. Again, they come and dismantle it. So it was kind of motive that I was trying to build, and which came later on the post-production stage.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see they rebuild it again. Then again, the authorities came and destroy it. And again, I could see that mostly the women taking part in most of this work, like going out strongly against the authority, then shouting, then slogans, and like heartbroken images. I mean, it was mostly the women who were feeling, all the emotions they were trying to show. So again, it is very much irrelevant with our thing today. We are women for water, these water warriors. So that gives a really very strong, motivation or inspirational to all over whoever is watching the media, who watch the film, that how strong you are depicting the Manipuri women. So I'll just share the screen again.
I think it's very natural in Manipur that women are always on the forefront. I think,
That's
especially in
what.
India, people knows that. Yeah.
So I'll share again. Okay.
Yeah, while you
So you
share, I
can
would just like to
yeah, you
say
can
that
keep on
yeah.
talking about like when you were also trying to show the the brave Manipuri ladies, or do you have
No, it was not, nothing was planned as such because
okay.
yeah, it was more of documentary. Talking about documentaries, what we normally do is we have a script. We kind of have a treatment of the film. Normally, I mean, as an educated filmmaker, because a lot of, even among the educated filmmakers, so-called trained filmmakers, a lot of people say that you can't script a documentary, so but you can always script a documentary, even if it is a situation like this. You can always have your flow of the story, because while doing the research, you can always build up, something. Otherwise, you end up shooting everything, and then makes things difficult. And also, if you have something, you have something written, or a storyline, you don't have to write it like a because documentary treatments are very different. I mean, not like
Yeah,
feature films. You have to
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
it was all natural, and like we couldn't see much of the like editing and cutting part. So I'll send you another part where
하나 ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯂꯥꯛꯄꯗꯗꯤ ꯄꯨꯂꯞ ꯍꯥꯏꯇꯥꯔꯦ ꯅꯠꯇ꯭ꯔꯣ
ꯄꯨꯂꯞ ꯍꯥꯏꯔꯁꯨ ꯃꯥꯒꯤ
ꯂꯩꯀꯥꯏ
ꯂꯩꯀꯥꯏꯒꯤ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯒꯤ ꯈꯨꯟꯗꯧꯅ ꯇꯥꯔꯝꯃꯤꯅꯦ
ꯈꯨꯟꯅ
ꯄꯨꯂꯞ ꯇꯥꯁꯟꯗꯅ
ꯃꯔꯤ
ꯂꯩꯔꯝꯃꯦꯕ
ꯑꯃꯒ ꯑꯃꯒ ꯀꯧꯅꯕ ꯈꯣꯠꯅꯕ ꯃꯐꯝ ꯃꯊꯛꯇ ꯌꯦꯟ ꯑꯣꯏꯕꯒꯗꯅꯣ ꯈꯪꯍꯧꯔꯤꯅꯤ
ꯑꯁ ꯌꯦꯟ ꯀꯔꯤꯅꯣ ꯍꯥꯏꯁꯤꯅꯤ
ꯌꯦꯟ ꯑꯣ
ꯌꯦꯟꯅꯦ ꯑꯗꯒꯤ ꯑꯣꯛꯁꯨ ꯂꯣꯏꯅꯕ ꯌꯥꯎꯋꯦ ꯐꯣꯞ ꯍꯩꯒꯠꯂꯒ ꯑꯗꯒꯤ ꯀꯩꯅꯣ ꯇꯧꯔꯒ ꯍꯪꯗꯣꯡ ꯀꯥꯊꯣꯛꯑꯒ ꯍꯥꯏꯁꯤꯅꯤ ꯁꯪꯃꯩ ꯊꯥꯕꯩ ꯀꯥꯗꯣ ꯀꯥꯗꯅ ꯂꯩꯔꯝꯃꯦ ꯐꯤꯕꯝ ꯂꯥꯡ ꯀꯥꯁꯦ ꯂꯣꯏ ꯆꯥꯛꯊꯦꯛꯇꯅꯀꯣ ꯐꯤꯔꯣꯡꯒ ꯑꯃꯠꯇ ꯂꯧꯍꯧꯗꯕ ꯌꯥꯎꯏ ꯀꯩꯅꯣ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯈꯛꯇꯅꯤ ꯈꯔ ꯂꯧꯁꯜꯍꯧꯕ
ꯁꯤꯗꯤ ꯆꯍꯤ ꯐꯥꯔꯦꯕ
ꯌꯥꯝꯗꯤ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯈꯔ ꯂꯧꯁꯜꯍꯧꯕ ꯁꯤꯔꯣ ꯁꯤꯗꯤ ꯀꯨꯏꯗꯔꯤ ꯊꯥ 2 ꯃꯨꯛꯇ ꯉꯥꯏꯔꯤ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏ ꯁꯤ ꯂꯩꯔꯛꯏꯁꯤ ꯀꯨꯏꯗꯔꯤ
ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯉꯁꯥꯏꯒꯤ ꯑꯍꯤꯡ ꯊꯕꯛ ꯁꯨꯕꯅꯤꯅ ꯉꯥꯏꯍꯥꯛ ꯆꯪꯉꯒ ꯂꯣꯡꯁꯤꯡ ꯊꯨꯞꯅꯕ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ
ꯉꯥꯏꯍꯥꯛ ꯄꯣꯊꯥꯔꯁꯨ
ꯄꯣꯊꯥꯅꯕ ꯑꯣꯏꯅ ꯍꯧꯖꯤꯛ ꯑꯩꯈꯣꯏꯅ ꯈꯟꯖꯟꯕꯅꯦꯕ
ꯌꯦꯡꯉꯣ ꯅꯣꯡꯃꯒꯤ ꯁꯨꯔꯒ ꯇꯥꯜꯂꯒ
it's really painful to see that someone has to just continue struggling and building, rebuilding. It's really a very painful process, and they still are talking very calmly, I would say. So that agitation, frustration, and anger would be, it's unimaginable. Imagine if it happens to us, we'll not be so kind and pleasant if it repeatedly happens to us. So what keeps them going? What is their motivation, or how do they keep themselves so resilient that they keep building? And how do they do that?
I think it's like they don't have any other choice. They don't have any other choice. When I was doing this, like I said, a lot of my friends were saying that it happens everywhere. This throwing them people out of the their natural place, and then it happens everywhere in India, and not just India, everywhere where development is happening. And also, I was talking to Sunita that day that what became the motive of my film, like after staying with them for 3 years, what I realized was, now they have to prove that they're the natives of the lake, because they have started a Loktak some act where you're not even allowed to get water from the lake. So for them it was not just a struggle for this thing, but they have to now prove that they're the natives of the lake. So that became the motive of my film. So I was trying to show a person like me, we can't, or you can't just go there in a day and do what they were doing. There was a whole rhythm, the way they were rowing the boat, the way they fish. There was a whole rhythm in the way they were doing things, which I tried to capture and put it in the film. So it was that became the whole motive of the film. So which later on maybe a lot of the people said it's very poetic and all those things. But what I've realized after doing all the documentary for all these years is, whenever we do a film like this, the community wants a different kind of film. And we as filmmakers, I think we are also very selfish, in the sense we always try to do something cinematically, and maybe for their purpose is different, our purpose is becomes different. Maybe somewhere it meets, but then that's a long thing, which I've realized that. So whenever I do a film like this, I try to have another cut for them. They want something very direct, raw. Though you may find this film very raw, but for them, like a television news, that kind of documentary they want. There's some kind of thing, and also in a shorter version, so that they can show it to people. So this is always a challenge when you do a film on some crisis, some community which is in crisis. You have to have another kind of cut for them, so that you can approach the authorities or the other, or any NGOs or something, any platform where they want to
Yeah.
yeah.
I think they need more of a breaking news kind of an urgent message that they want to tell people. And we as filmmakers, or people who go from outside to their place, it is one of the projects for us, but for them it's everyday real life. So that's why I think they want that loud and clear and short version. And you're right that cinematically a director or a producer will have a different thing in mind, and then the person who's the victim or the protagonist in real life definitely has their own version. And most of the time the films are created or recreated on the edit table. So we have that liberty to do that, so that's great.
But in the frame, I could also see Mr. Salam Rajesh, Tamu Salam Rajesh. So he is a known figure in Manipur. In fact, we were trying to get him for today also. I tried him many times, and Mansee have heard about him, and she was really very, very eager to have Tamu Rajesh here with us today. But
I also tried, Sunita.
Yeah,
I'm also trying to get him on Wednesday or any.
Yeah, but I don't. He is very open and very eager to join any of this. So maybe it's genuine that what he said is not. But I don't know, because he is not a person to be out of this kind of thing. But again, another question comes to Pavan, are you also can you feel the emotion of the people, or are you just a filmmaker, or are you also devoted to the cause of this film? What do you feel? Or do you just take it as a any other filmmaker? Do you feel it? Do you feel the woes of the people, or an expert who is a wetland activist, Salam Rajesh? So I could see that he is also part when you he is also together with you. So do you feel the worst, or are you just a filmmaker? That's my.
The first place why we make films, we feel for it. We feel for the community. That's why we do it. Also, Loktak is, as I said earlier, it's very important for it's for our community, not just the people living in the lake. For the
Exactly.
people of Manipur, Loktak is very important. It's our lifeline. Having Tamur Rajesh, I spoke to him couple of days before this session. I think I wrote a mail to Anuj that I'm trying to get in people, but he's busy with some work and it's quite far. Even I was having internet connection problem here, so he's far on the hills.
He said he's in Tamenglong, yeah.
Yeah. So he might be busy. Why? Because he's an expert. He has been working on this film for a long time, and so I needed someone who can guide me. And it's also funded by Films Division Mumbai.
Okay.
Though the film started very much earlier before we pitch it to Films Division, because I didn't plan this film, as I said earlier. So it just happened and I started rolling my camera. And it was about trying to understand what really went wrong. So, all these shots that you were talking about, the emotion, whatever we could capture was because of, I think for documentary filmmaker, you need patience, time and patience. And it took almost 3 years, like the dismantling of the huts again coming. This happened once. I kept on waiting for 3 years to, to start again, but never happened. Should happen actually, but as a filmmaker, you were wanting that, to shoot it again. So it was the only time that we got to shoot, and that became the main this thing for the whole film. So having a subject expert is very important, but then again. It was a kind of investigative film, so Tamur Rajesh really became the main protagonist who was taking us around, and it was like a motive for us to enter the place with him. Not like we don't have to show him all the time, but it was him who took us there and explained things to us. That's how, being a Mitai also, I'm born and brought up in Imphal, so we have no much idea about the village life. Studied in KV, even I didn't study Manipuri properly. We like in KV in Manipur, most of the time we are talking in Hindi.
Hindi and all, yeah.
Yeah, it's mostly Hindi. English and all I started speaking when going to South doing my graduation, and so my reality is very different. It was also trying to understand my community, so and at the same time seeing this and trying to understand the conflict, and also a lot of films are being made, especially for audience, for them it's nothing new, a lot of documentaries. So many problems in India, so many these things happens in India. So so we were also very careful how to put the film. So so it needs a lot of time and patience to do that. And Tamur Rajesh really if you look at the end of the film, he comes back, and probably,
I saw him.
Yeah, probably it's us, it's me, we are just capturing the images. So maybe for we as a filmmaker, what we can do, sometimes a lot of people ask, as a filmmaker, why you are doing this, what change you can make, maybe I don't think film can really make some big changes, but at least we can try, so that is what the whole motive behind me doing documentaries.
Yeah. So again, some of my insight, some of my insight for the lake is I myself is a scientist who have worked many years for Loktak. Like most of the legacy data, the archive data in remote sensing GIS was done by me, the Loktak Resource Information System. So I have worked more than about 10 years in creating all the data of the Loktak Lake. And coming to, talking about the inhabitants of the lake, and again, the biodiversity conservation. It's a let's say lose situation for both when the authority tried to burn down those huts. So burning of those huts, it was a lose-lose for both the biodiversity and both for the inhabitants of the lake also. But again, coming to since we are discussing the film.
But just
yeah.
that, what really is what I really observed during this development is also important, but then you never consult the people there.
That was
yeah, I know it's not easy. I mean, putting ourselves in their position in the those people in the government, maybe it's not easy for them. But
because those huts were mushrooming at the time, and
maybe I also believe that you need to control that. I can see that there are mushrooming of huts. You need to control them, but then you need to put in your head properly. You can't just randomly do things.
And that is correct. Yeah, that is very true.
I'm not saying maybe I'm not an expert, but I can feel that there is mushrooming of huts. The lake is being polluted. It's known as the dying lake of Manipur.
Yeah.
So everybody is concerned, but I don't think that's the right way to do. Burning people's hut and snatching their, their job. They don't have any other place to go. So and they have to fight. So yeah, it's not easy. I mean, things are difficult, but then you can sit together and find solutions. You can't just do that, no? Violence is the solution. Yeah.
I will again show some glimpses of the.
Maybe I think
Yeah, this part. You see, it's mostly the women fighting the authority directly. So you see here the strong emotion, like they are not even using, lady police. It's all male police police people, coming to control the women folks again. You can see how the woman is jumping, and that's how most of the scenes back in here in Manipur. So you have Mansee.
Yeah, thanks, Sunita. Thank you. And heart-wrenching images. I also had the chance to look at the video before I was joining this session. So Paban, hats off to you to really get into this issue and also coming here today and sharing something very important you just mentioned just a while ago when you were saying that when you are doing these kind of documentaries, a broad scripting is important. But at the same time, you prefer to go with the flow as what activities are happening. And you also mentioned an important point here when you were saying that, the requirement of community when you are capturing these live issues are different than the requirement of a filmmaker. I mean, I have a very simple question for you. I mean, and you also answered part of it, that of course you feel for it and that's why you go ahead and do these kind of projects. My question to you to start this conversation with me is on, when you are selecting these kind of subjects, I'm sure you have in mind what is the balance you are going to really showcase, because at the end of the day, you are also some kind of a researcher who would like to portray the right thing to the society and not really go one way, and you were mentioning that, yes, there are mushrooming huts more and more, and it is dying lake. And at the same time, there are other ways to have a dialogue, more, people's governance kind of thing. Where do you find as a filmmaker the challenge to really convey this balance which you are trying to showcase, that this is what is right for? I mean, you have done it wonderfully, but in real life filmmaking, when you're capturing these real issues, how do you decide on this balancing act where everyone is covered in the rightful way? Do you think your lens of looking at the world is eventually the ultimate lens which is right in the film?
Thank you, Mansee. Well, as a person born in Manipur, and why I joined film was, when to tell stories about Manipur. And
yeah,
one of the biggest challenges when I went to the film school and I started making films, one of the biggest challenge was, we have a father figure for Manipuri cinema called Haobam Paban. Maybe
yes,
you've heard of Haobam Paban.
yeah, he was our inaugural presenter for this Friday.Waters.
Oh, okay. So he's my guru, and I have assisted him for a long time, and even now also I associate with him. So he is known for a lot, like his films are very big, and
Yes.
people, yeah. So I also wanted to do something, to make different from, I wanted to do something different from him, what he has been doing. So I started looking around, and the way he understands life, the way he understands culture, tradition. So I as I told you, I went to KV, I studied
Yeah.
Hindi, I never studied Manipuri literature. So I started looking at myself, what is my background? What should be my films? So for me, it was trying to understand Manipur, or maybe, maybe I should do films on what is happening around me, So that's how I started looking at life and my subjects. So even now also my subjects comes from what is really affecting me as a person from Manipur, or whatever, as a person right now, whatever affects me. So I made a film called AFSPA because that time APSPA was, creating a lot of this
Yes.
thing in our minds. So that came. Phum-Shang happened because, after all this, there were a lot of developmental activities happening in Manipur. It's not just about Loktak or anything. It was the whole development activity that was happening in Manipur those days. Even now also but now for me, ethnicity or ethnic conflict is the main, idea which is going in my head right now. So that time it was more about the developmental activities happening in Manipur. So I was trying to observe that, what it is really, how it is really affecting me as a person. So this was a film which happened to that time. So I don't stick to a particular subject
Yeah.
as such.
But
Yeah.
sorry, interestingly, you mentioned, and that gives me a clue to ask you another question, because while you were exploring what's happening around you, you were also self-exploring yourself, in terms of your background, in terms of the region, the people and the place and all. And so when you are talking about these kind of situations, and like you mentioned also now the ethnic problem which is going on even in the entire of the Northeast for that matter, in many situations,
Yeah.
because every one of us are affected by whatever is going around, it's only the filmmakers like you who have the eye and the lens to really capture things in a right perspective to put in front of us. And you also mentioned just before I entered this conversation that you may not be doing a big impact on the society directly, but trust me, I mean, and of course you are very much aware of it being coming from the field, but me coming from outside the field of filmmaking and documentaries and art, I see through the history of human evolution that art and filmmaking have been the most impactful tool to really bring a change in as compared to write-ups, as compared to doing other kind of mediums. So, I mean, I strongly believe that these kind of films have long-lasting impact on people to that extent. But just to understand and out of curiosity, what happened after this film was first time released? What was going around in the region when your film was released? Because after that, you were all over the world with, awards. But I would like to know in the region, what was the impact?
Nothing much, except that a lot of people were not aware about this particular incident that happened on the 2011, the burning of huts. I think very people were, even in Imphal also, very people were aware about that. So I even if you have seen the film, in one of the sequences, we bring in journalists along with it. It became part of the film, but it was also to bring them and allow them to speak to the fishermen community, to know their problems with grievances. So it also became a part of the film. But then it was something which we arranged, and we did it. So even but as I said, making impact about documentaries. The problem in India, generally about documentaries is you must be aware that we have thousands of channels in India, but not a single channel dedicated to documentaries.
No.
Yeah, even now also there are a lot of platforms, OTT platforms, but I think after a point, even they were talking about independent cinema. Forget about documentaries, fiction feature films. But you hardly see them now. They are more interested in their kind of conflict, and
more masala conflict. Conflict.
Yeah, I was approached by one of the OTT platforms to do a film on some lady cop who has done something in Bombay, but they want thrillers. And the kind of content you can see in OTT platforms right now. So there's not really a market for documentaries in India. It's only few selected places where you can show your films. Unlike Europe, where documentaries are theatrically released, you will never hear people having theatrical release of documentaries in India. So unfortunately, festivals are the only places where you can screen this film. So that's why a lot of people always ask this. We have been hearing this for a long time. Why you are making these films? I think, someone has to do it. Maybe
absolutely, someone has to bring some.
Maybe it will be an archive, or maybe it will just remain as a documentation. I think, but then it's important to do documentation. Maybe someday it will.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a kind of a research. I mean, that's why I was putting it like this. I mean, because it's a history which has already been carved out in the human evolution. So if it goes unnoticed by the people, someone has to keep it in record and archive and let it be there forever. I mean, that's why it is required, because those people who are directly affected are actually not doing the documentation. So someone has to come and take that responsibility, and that's the role of filmmakers, in this.
Again, the guy is trying to rebuild, like Pavan was saying. It's Manipur never gives up, keeps on rebuilding. So in the last scene,
thanks, Pavan. I will come back with the conversation. Let us first see the clip. That's kind of an optimistic closure to the film, Paban. Just to continue the conversation with you before we were discussing before the clip, when you are documenting these kind of life changing moments for people, and you mentioned that it is a repetitive activity in their lives. Probably for us, it is one time as you as a filmmaker to witness it, and for us to really watch it as a film. But for them, it's a regular process or continuum. How do you think that we can really do something beyond our profession? Like in your case, you are a filmmaker. In our case, particularly in my case, let's say a teacher, that we can really facilitate a process where you rightly mentioned that a dialogue is possible before breaking this, and which we assume that it may not have happened because of the heavy hand of the system. How do you think we can play a little extra role in our lives apart from our profession? I mean, apart from doing this kind of work, can we go a step extra? Because these things are quite moving. It can be life-changing for many people as well.
Well, frankly speaking, I mean, when you do a documentary, it's for me, it's more about, understanding the people, trying to understand, making friendship. So after every film, I have more friends,
Absolutely, I'm sure.
I have more friends, and now I'm a part of the community. So that way, even and also I stay in the city. So so whenever they come here, so and if they need anything, like for this film, it's not easy to just go and shoot what's happening there and capture the kind of images that you capture. It's a long process. They need to believe in you. For that, you don't just go there and roll the camera.
Absolutely, you have to be part of them. They have to believe.
Only then you will be able to capture that. And also the presence of camera should go.
Yes.
When you if you feel the presence of a camera, even I also become very conscious. So
yes.
So you have to do that, and you have to make that kind of with that friendship or whatever, that you have to come to that level. Only then you'll be able to make a proper film which can talk about the subject properly. So finally, when you do a film like this, when you become a part of the community, and maybe I was not able to do things. A lot of people are working on this film, like Tamurajes, and even the community, they have a NGO. They're very active. This Oinam Rajan is very active. But then what I do is like as I said, for this film, I got some money from Film Division, which I give to subject experts and then to the subject, because they also give some seed money
Yes.
for the budget. They keep that. I bought a laptop for them. I thought
But these are contributions,
money
I mean,
would
yeah.
just give. I gave a laptop to them. So then later on, when they were now, if you go to the lake, this particular village, it's the only village I think these people can I think which was left. According to the government, I think only this village remains, and the only source to go there is by these small boats. So they recently, I think not recently, maybe the film was made a long time back. So after I made the film, after 2-3 years, they said they wanted to bring a big boat which can accommodate around 20 people. Normally in these boats, you can only 2-3 people can sit. So I also approached and financially I gave them some money to bring that. I'm not sure. I think what you're saying is something else, but these are the small things that I did for
Yes,
them.
I mean, of course, it's a relationship you build with them.
So you build a relationship them whenever there is a medical emergency. My wife is a nurse, so so it's like, so as a human being, whatever. But that's why I said at the very beginning, it's not I as a filmmaker, because I have moved ahead. I'm doing something else now.
New project. Yeah.
It's a project plus, but then what I really enjoy doing documentaries is I make new friends and human relationships, which I think is important for me.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the profession. So coming to a very last question from my end, maybe then I hand it over to Anuja and Sunita. But we saw that a lot of women were involved, and Sunita also raised this point. And correct me if I am not, not right, but most of the Northeast being matriarchal in nature, or I think this is the only part of the country where I have myself experienced more equal society than rest of the country, as far as gender is concerned, And I happened to visit Loktak 2019, and it was a wonderful experience to even, see across Manipur, but especially spend a good one day. And I don't know whether I really visited this village, but I did visit some village, but which I don't remember the name exactly, where we had lunch and everything. I was with army people, so they had arranged something for me. But when I went there and I realized how integral these people are, how integral their way of living is to the nature of the wetland. So if we are still in that notion, when I'm saying we, I mean the system, if we still think that keeping people away is an answer to wetland conservation and management, personally being a water learner, I strongly resist that idea. There may be a situation where we can make them understand, and I think they understand much better how to keep the lake cleaner, because it's for them, it is life. In fact, maybe the source of problem with these kind of wetlands is somewhere else and not them, and they become the target group to be evicted. And they are not the problem makers. They are actually the solution givers when these kind of wetlands are looked at. And this is from the time antiquity, where people and wetland have been integral part to each other. Both need each other. I mean, for the wetlands need people for their survival, and people need wetland, of course, for their livelihood and life. So if this message can be conveyed, probably I am already requesting you to make another film on how people and wetland are so closely integrated, because this is a problem across the country where the system thinks keeping people away is the answer. At the same time, we are considering people participation, but we don't really see that people participation is stronger when it is indigenous people vis-a-vis urban people going and participating in this kind of activity. So thank you so much. It's more of a request than question to you, but I'm sure you have made more friends in Loktak wetland, and next time when I visit, I also get to visit these villages with you, and of course with Rajesh Thamo, hopefully. And Sunita is going to take us around. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I will. Yeah. In fact, I came back from Loktak today. Like I was thinking maybe I will have the this thing from Loktak itself. But again, thinking about it, because the director DOLR was visiting suddenly, then I had to take him to Loktak, but I came back. He is still there roaming around. But again, I will just answer to Mansee as a Manipuri. There's no way that the government can take away those people from the lake. So even if they manage to take the people away from the lake will always there with the people. The thing will be there. And knowing even myself as a Manipuri woman, or knowing Manipuri as such, they will never succeed in taking away those people. And Mansee said truly, like they are the one who dwells on the lake, who who goes to the lake, then who takes it as their own mother. So it's not going to harm them as such. Right now, people are very, very resistant in bringing big projects. So it's really, like it's a strong, even the CSO or even people like Paban, they are filmmaker, renowned filmmaker who have really made a niche of themselves, and they have such a role in, like saving the lake. Because when this film won so much award, so there was a huge, like in the front page in the newspaper and everything, that it gives more, like ownership of the lake to the people. So thank you so much, Pavan. And today rounding up, I think our good Anuja Bali can do the rounding up of today's session. Anuja, to you.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one who's not visited Loktak. So whenever I start traveling, that is definitely on my plan, because I have never been to Northeast of part of the country yet, even though I have
Coming
family in
shortly.
Sikkim.
Don't worry, shortly you'll be here.
Yeah, so I'm praying to the universe that please, I want to go there. And such films like you made, Paban, are also they also represent it's like activism, and it depicts the real struggle and real protest without any wood attached to the film. So people want commercialized entertainment, but it's time. We've had so many other films like in Kashmir, Dal Lake, and it all seems that all the lakes, all the water bodies are going through the similar struggle, and people are the most, because they are the real, when we say that dharti ka lal ya dharti ka bachcha, so they are the ones who are living there. वो सचमुच उस धरती, उस लेक के बच्चे हैं, या उस लेक के ऑफस्प्रिंग्स हैं, या उसके ऊपर सर्वाइव करने वाले, उनका they have the deepest connection. So to showcase what they are going through is really very, very I'm really impressed and really grateful that you did that. Of course it won't be easy for you as well, क्योंकि ऐसे जो सही आवाज बाहर लाते हैं उनके ऊपर भी बहुत सारे pressures होते हैं. We've seen it and everywhere, even in Pune we are experiencing the same. So thank you everyone for joining today. It was a very serene and somber and I guess serious kind of a mood, but I guess that is the level of the problem. Thank you, Paban, for coming, and thank you, Mansee and Sunita, for this wonderful conversation, and thank you for the guests for joining. Please do join us for the next Friday Waters session. next Friday.Waters will be a thesis club. Friday.Waters, the film Water Talkies happens only on the first Friday of every month. So we'll be back with a new film next month, first Friday. And next week is thesis. So who all can join, please do join. We discuss theses that are based on water conservation, ecological aspects, and they are very interesting sessions as well. So thank you, everyone. And we can click a commemorative picture and then take your leave.
Thank you, Pavan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. But lastly, I think you should watch my film Lady of the Lake. It's called Loktak Lake. It's on YouTube.
Great.
But you have to pay 25 rupees. It's because I'm saying this because it's an extension of this documentary.
Great.
Okay, wonderful. That's a good, good suggestion, and we don't mind paying it. Of course, we will watch it. I think it did not come naturally as a next video when we watched this one. But just to continue this conversation, sorry, Anuja, to make another announcement for next Wednesdays for Water, which is on 12th of April, and that's on biodiversity series, where we talk about marine vertebrates of India. And we get experts who talk about sharks, rays, and sea turtles and the conservation opportunities and challenges. So as you know, we are doing Monday Munching with Women for Water every Monday at 5 p.m. Wednesday, we do Wednesdays for Water, and Friday.Waters is here for you with Thesis Club next week, and then followed by Water Arts. And then the next month starts with Water Talkies and goes with book reading, and so on and so forth. So we will continue doing this, and thank you so much, all of you. But I see Suchitra Devi has mentioned few bullet points. So I really feel like respecting her. If you want to have some few words, definitely we would like to have your words recorded in the session. Suchitra, would you like to say something? Okay. There's not much there, I think.
I'm fine as an audience only for today. Thank you very much for the opportunity, but I would be fine as an audience only because I'm not really this one.
Okay. Thank you.
The place I am in right now, I'm not able to join that. Thank you for the opportunity, and very happy for this evening.
Thank you so much, and thanks all of you. Please take care of yourself and see you very soon. Bye-bye.